My name is Luna, and this is the story of the night my grown son gently closed his bedroom door on me. A small sound, just a click. But that click felt like the softest, quietest way of saying, "Mom, this isn't your home anymore." I did not cry that night. I did not argue. I did not ask him any questions. I just stood there, frozen, with my hand still raised as if I was about to knock again. Sometimes, life doesn't break you with loud noises. Sometimes it breaks you with silence. And that night, silence was all I had. I raised my son Daniel alone. His father left when he was barely 2 years old, and from that moment, my whole life became about him. Every morning, every night, every struggle, every fear. I worked long hours at a small local bakery. I packed lunches for him while the sky was still dark. I walked him to school with shoes older than the school year. But he never complained, and I never let him feel the weight I was carrying. Daniel was a quiet boy, shy, gentle, thoughtful. He would draw pictures for me while I cooked. Sometimes he would sit on the kitchen floor and say, "Mom, when I grow up, I will take care of you. You'll live with me forever." And I would laugh, brush his hair back, and reply, "I don't need anything, sweetheart. Just grow up to be kind." We were close, closer than most mothers and sons. We were each other's whole world for a long time. But children don't stay children forever, and promises made at 5 years old don't always survive into adulthood. Daniel went to college, and even though he stayed in the same city, something between us changed. The calls became shorter, the visits less frequent, the conversations lighter and emptier. He was growing, stepping into a world that I was never part of. And I told myself that this was normal. This was healthy. This was how life was supposed to be. But deep inside, there was a quiet fear forming inside me. A fear that comes to every mother at some point. The fear of no longer being needed. And then one day, he introduced me to Emily. She was kind, smart, pretty, a little reserved, but polite. I tried my best. I tried so hard to make her feel welcome in our world. But somewhere inside, I felt like she saw me as a guest, not family. I remember the first time she called me Luna instead of Mom or Mrs. Hayes. It was such a small thing, but it stung in a way I couldn't explain. Still, I stayed quiet. Still, I smiled. Still, I told myself that this was what love looked like, letting your child build his own life. After college, they moved into a small apartment together. A new world, a new rhythm, a new home that was no longer mine. I visited sometimes, always by invitation, never unannounced. Things weren't bad, but they weren't the same. There was a distance now, not sharp, just soft, steady, and growing. It happened on a cold Friday evening, the kind of night when the house feels too big and the silence too heavy. Daniel called in the morning and said, "Mom, you can come over for dinner tonight. Emily made lasagna." I felt a little spark in my chest, a small joy, a tiny piece of home. I got ready slowly, carefully, like I was preparing for something important. When I arrived, Emily greeted me with a polite smile. Not warm, not cold, just polite. We ate. We talked a little. We laughed here and there, but something felt tight, uncomfortable, like everyone was trying a bit too hard. After dinner, Emily went to bed early. Daniel walked me to the door and hugged me. Warm, but brief. "Mom, thank you for coming. We'll invite you again soon." I nodded. But inside, something ached. I drove home feeling like a visitor in my own child's world. 2 weeks later, I made a mistake. I went to their place without calling first. I know I shouldn't have. But I missed my son. I missed belonging somewhere. Daniel opened the door, surprised. "Mom, you're here? Everything okay?" I was nearby, thought I'd say hello. He hesitated, just a second, but that second was enough. "Who is it, Daniel?" Emily's voice from inside. Daniel stepped out and gently pulled the door almost closed behind him. "Mom," he whispered. "Next time, please call first. Emily gets overwhelmed when plans change." I apologized. I understood. But inside, something cracked. Not because of what he said, but because of how carefully he said it. Like he was choosing between two lives. He went back inside for a moment. I could hear their soft voices. I stepped closer to knock again, to tell him I would leave. And then I heard it. A door closing. Daniel's bedroom door. Inside the apartment. A soft click. A gentle sound. But to me, it felt final. I stood there with my hand lifted, frozen in the air, and whispered inside my heart, "I don't belong here anymore." Daniel returned a minute later. "Mom, tonight isn't a good night. Maybe Sunday?" I forced a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. Sunday is perfect." His hug was warm, but it didn't reach my heart. And it didn't reach his. At home, I didn't cry right away. I made tea, sat alone, stared at the empty chair across from me. Only later, tears came. Quiet ones. The kind you cry when your heart finally understands something your mind has been trying to avoid. Children grow. Children change. Children move into lives that don't revolve around us. And that's not betrayal, not cruelty, not rejection. It's life. The next morning, I bought a notebook. On the first page, I wrote, "Luna, it's time to live for yourself now." For many years, I lived only for Daniel. Every choice, every sacrifice, every fear, every hope. I forgot that I also existed. Sunday came. This time, I visited with peace inside me instead of expectations. Emily was friendlier. Daniel was relaxed. We talked. We laughed. We shared stories. At one point, Daniel rested his head lightly on my shoulder and said quietly, "Mom, I hope you know I love you. I'm still here." And I replied, "I know, sweetheart, and I'm proud of the life you're building." For the first time, I meant it without pain. People think motherhood ends when children leave home. But motherhood ends when you accept that your children are no longer yours to keep, only yours to love. That night, the night the door closed, I learned the hardest and most beautiful truth. Love is not holding on. Love is giving space. Love is stepping back and trusting that the bond remains, even with distance. I still visit Daniel. I still cook for him sometimes. He still calls for advice. Emily is warmer these days. We are learning each other. We are slowly becoming a family in a new way. But I never forget, a mother's love does not disappear. It simply changes shape. That night, when the door closed, I realized I no longer belonged inside my son's world the way I once did. But I still belonged in his life, just in a quieter, softer way. And I learned to breathe again, to dream again, to live as Luna, not just Mom, because a mother's heart never stops loving. It simply learns to grow. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear it.